Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Joining me now, DNC Communications Director Mo Alethi and RNC Communications Director Sean Spicer. Gang, it's good to have you here. Sean, I want to start with you because it was just yesterday that David Gregory asked New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte 2 times about what the GOP was offering up in place of Obamacare. She had no answer. And then this morning, former GOP presidential candidate Rick Santorum agreed that Republicans need to bring something to the table. He appeared on Morning Joe. Take a look.
Yeah, saying no is not enough.
I agree with
say no. Absolutely, it's not enough, and there are plenty of good ideas out there. There are plans that have been implemented in state levels. There are ideas that you know, look, I'll go back to John McCain. John McCain had a health care plan in 2008. If you look at that plan now, it looks, hey, well, that's a pretty reasonable plan.
Okay, so Sean, what is the GOP alternative to Obamacare at this point?
I think there's several. The point that we've been making all along is that if you're asking us, are we going to replace one government takeover of healthcare with another, the answer is no. If we're going to implement a series of policies that will ensure that more people are covered at a lower price, give them better medical care, then yes. So things like portability, so you can shop across state lines, something that's being prevented right now. Ideas that allow small businesses and individuals to pool their resources so that they can get the same advantages, both tax and consumer-wise, that big corporations can get. Brings down their costs, allows them to get greater access. And then there's a number of things that lawsuit reform that will allow more interaction with doctors and also keep prices down. There's a series of things, but I think that the difference in approach, Thomas, is this. We believe that you can do it one step at a time, that makes smart decisions, that doesn't interrupt service, that is not a government wholesale takeover, which the Democrats did. And this is what why we warn that this approach would lead to the consequences that we're seeing now, i.e. people getting their insurance canceling, having to go out and find new doctors, plans and companies saying they're going to drop people. So I think that's a totally different idea of how to approach healthcare, as opposed to one is government-based and one is private sector-based.
All right, so Mo, in your blog post last week, you referred to every Democratic member of Congress being devoted to making Obamacare work smoothly. But as we just heard from Congresswoman Shea Porter there, one of the 39 House members who broke ranks last week, obviously actions speak louder than words from behind the scenes. But is that the game, to keep a stiff upper lip going into 2014? Act as if this isn't making people nervous?
Oh, look, I think everyone from the White House on down understands that the rollout has not been nearly as good as it ought to be. But I still defy anyone to find one Democrat out there who is doing what Sean and his party want to do, which is repeal and go back to the way things were before. Not one single Democrat has said repeal this thing. We are unified in that. Every single Republican has said repeal this thing. They are unified in that. And so heading into 2014, and this really shouldn't be just an electoral issue, but headed into 2014, I'll take that choice any day of the week, between a party that is committed to expanding healthcare access and making it more affordable and has a law on the books to do so, versus another party that hates that idea so much it was willing to shut the government down over it. I'll take that contrast any day of the week.
All right, so Sean, I'm not sure if you saw, but hold on real quickly. There's this recent interview that compared the U.S. healthcare model against other countries, and it shows that Americans spend far more on our health care, but we receive far less in return. So when you have this pro-profit insurance company overseeing health care, their bottom line, it's always going to be the bottom line. You know, what's best for the bank? How do we make money? Not so much what's best for patients. So doesn't data like this point to why we need a health care overhaul and what the ACA is trying to do in the first place?
No, there's nothing in the ACA that deals with cost containment. In fact, that's part of the reason that we have a trust gap right now, is because people were sold something that they're not getting. There is absolutely nothing in ACA, in Obamacare, that helps bring costs down. In fact, what you're seeing, Thomas, is doctors saying, I'm getting out of primary care physician. They're dropping Medicare. They're dropping TRICARE. Most doctors now, especially specialty type doctors, oncologists, dermatologists, when you go in now, if you say you're a Medicare patient or a Medicaid patient, they'll tell you we are no longer accepting accepting it. It's cash only and then seek reimbursement on your own, because doctors are now saying we don't want to get involved in this. That's the exact wrong way to go. And you're seeing that, frankly, not just here, but you see that in Europe and in Canada too, where specialized medicine is becoming something that only the rich can afford, because you have a bunch of doctors dealing with the primary care
Isn't
stuff.
that a trend that started under President Bush, where people and large companies were purging people from health care, and the doctors were changing their policies based on the failed health care situation that we had in this country? The Bush administration was not looking to do anything with any of that, although we did get an update with Medicare Part D that did not go so well, as you know. But that update now, people would not want to be parted from. But when we talk about the cost not coming down, that's untrue. There have been people who have had huge savings from the fact that they have transferred over under the ACA. There are people that are benefiting greatly from the fact that there are no pre-existing conditions that they have to be worried about from actually getting covered. And if it's up to the private insurance companies, we're going to see more people getting these junk insurance policies that they're actually getting canceled from than what we're seeing now. I don't understand. What is it so much about junk insurance policies that the RNC supports?
It's a false choice when you're saying you either support the ACA or don't. For example, Republicans do support, and frankly, all insurance companies, most insurance companies have now said that they would maintain children keeping on their parents' insurance until 26, regardless of this law or not. That's something that we would widely support. Pre-existing conditions is something that most Republicans are on board with. So it's a false choice to be saying that if you don't support the ACA, you don't support anything.
Sean, you guys make that choice. You voted 42 times. Republicans voted 42 times to repeal or defund, to repeal or defund the Affordable Care Act. So, in your mind, I mean, you guys have made this a choice. You are for it,
it's not an all or nothing
against
proposition. That's the problem with the way that Democrats frame everything.
And you guys have repeatedly chosen nothing.
All or nothing.
You have repeatedly chosen nothing. When have you put forth any of the proposals that you're saying you now? You guys haven't put that forth. You have repeatedly.
Let Sean respond. Let Sean respond.
Okay. The way that Democrats frame this is when buying a car, if you don't like the radio saying that you don't want a new car. The problem is that's a false choice. You guys have loaded this thing up with so much fat and government bureaucracy and waste.
Hold on. Wait a minute, Sean. Let's talk about false choices, because you were willing to shut down the government over the ACA. You stalled the entire government, costing us billions for that time period.
Exactly.
And now that was all to choke off oxygen because of the ACA. That was, the government was shut down. Who owns the government shutdown?
Here's the deal. The government shutdown was very clear. We voted to fund everything but it. And what the mantra was at the time is, how dare you, it's a law, it can't be changed. And now every time that the president sees fit to unilaterally do things by executive order, delay things, exempt certain people, you and the DNC have no problem with a unilateral change of the law when it comes by executive order. But when it comes through the legislative process, how the Constitution's laid out, how this system's supposed to work, suddenly we're the bad guys. But every vote that Republicans took was to keep this government operating, with the exception of a law that right now most Americans agree is not working and is not working well for them.
I don't think anyone outside of RNC headquarters, anyone believes that Republicans were fighting to keep the government operating. But look, at some point, it would be nice to see Republicans become partners in governing here, because Democrats are committed, the president is committed to finding fixes to make the law work better. Republicans are criticizing the law, and they have not participated in the fixes at all. You guys continue to try to scare people and kill the program bit by bit. Your speaker said that the other day.
Let Sean, and Sean, I'm going to give you the last word here, because we've got to go.
This is one piece for both Mo and Thomas here, since I'm debating both of you. This is the reality. You guys jammed through a bill through the House of Representatives, did not care what Republicans thought. In fact, when Scott Brown won that seat in Massachusetts, you voted so quickly to ensure that not one Republican would have input in the Senate. And now you complain about Republican being part of the fix. You didn't care what we had to say when it was time. You didn't care about our ideas when it was time to put the bill in. Nancy Pelosi made it very clear. You'll have to read the bill when it's passed, because you didn't want to take the time to listen to Republican ideas, to get Republican input, and now you want to blame us. That's not how it works.
The secret is this whole thing was built on conservative and Republican ideas in the first place, that you all then cut and run and ran from, because this president is the one who promoted it. At some point, you guys got to become a partner.
Zero votes. You got zero.
We're gonna have to leave it there,
Republican
gentlemen.
votes because you didn't want to work with us, you didn't care about our ideas, and now you want to blame us. It doesn't work that way. So I'm sorry to hear that.
We
worked with Democrats when we passed Part D, and it's a great success. I think that's a good model.
All right, guys, we got to leave it there. Thanks so much. We've got Mo Alathe and Sean Spicer. Mo from the DNC, Sean from the RNC. This was fun.
Let's do it again.
We'll do it again.
Thanks for having us.
Sean, Mo, thanks, gentlemen. All right. So